Hi friends, it's Tiana here today, and today we're going to be sewing up a free pattern. This is the Candice Dress by Tiana's Closet. This dress has a placket with buttons in the front, and it can be worn backwards as well. So you could have the placket in the back or in the front. I really like it in the front, so I'm super excited about it. I'm using a linen from Boho Fabrics. I had just enough to add a little bit of length to the skirt, but not very much. I was hoping to add a little bit more length because it looks kind of short, but we shall see once we sew it up. So let's get started. All right, we're gonna get started, and the first thing to do is, if you wanna finish the raw edges of your fabric before you sew, you may want to do that now so that they don't unravel. But how I'm going to do it is, once I sew the pieces together, then I'm going to go back to my serger and serge the edges along the seam allowance. If you don't have a serger, you can do this with a zigzag stitch on your sewing machine, and that works just fine. So I'm going to grab the front bodice and the back bodice, and I'm going to match them up right sides together at the shoulder seam. So see, we have the front split here, and then you're matching them right sides together. It's going to be kind of hard to tell on this fabric what is my right side and wrong side, so I'll make sure to mention right sides together, wrong sides together, depending on what it is. All right, I'm going to put that to the side. And another thing that I'm going to go ahead and do right now is grab my facing here. So I've got my two pieces of facing, and I'm going to first of all add the facing to it. Not the facing, what is this called? Interfacing. I'm going to add the interfacing to my facing. All right, now that that's been interfaced, we're going to grab the back facing and the front facing, and we're going to match those shoulder seams here. All right, let's go sew that up. Oh, I'm sewing up. Once I sew those up, I'm going to go ahead on the outer edge. This, let me see. Yeah, this edge outside, the outer edge of my interfacing, I'm going to go ahead and zigzag stitch that or serger on my serger, because that part right there is not going to get attached, so it won't be finished. So I want it to be finished. So I'm going to go around here at the bottom, over, up, all the way around the outer edge, and then come right back down just so it's all finished. While we're there, because I like to do a lot of what I can all at once, we're going to grab our skirts and we're going to match them right sides together and sew those two raw edges. You can do every single one of these steps one at a time, but I really do like to try to get it all done at once. I don't know what it is about it. I just like to do it. And so if I can do a lot of steps at once and not get confused or anything like that, then I like to go ahead and do them. This is such a simple sew, well, so far, that, and I think it's going to be super simple, that you can do a lot of the steps at the same time. That way you don't have to go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, which I don't like going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So works out well. You know what else I'll do while I'm there? Once I sew the sides of the skirt, I will go ahead and sew a gathering stitch at the top of the skirt, because I'm going to end up gathering it the width of my bodice. Actually, yeah, the width of my bodice, because it will get sewn on together. The placket only goes so far, depending on, well, we got to see how they do it. But anyway, we can go ahead and sew those sides together and prep everything, and then come back and do the sleeves, the plackets. All right, I want to also go ahead and prep my sleeve. Now, I didn't place all the markings, but we're just going to go by the markings that I have here. They add some pleats here to the sleeve, so you want to tack those pleats down when you are going to sew it on. So what I would do is grab the 2 points. So if you marked one point here and the other point here, you're going to grab 1 point and you're going to come over and overlap them together. So you've got this little overlap here. So you can either do it that way, but what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put in a little basting stitch here at the top, and I'm just going to do a little gather. So it's more of a gather top than a folded top, if that makes sense. And since I'm going to do that, I'm just going to go ahead and sew those sleeves right sides together, because they are really just inset sleeves. They sew the bodice together all the way down. They attach the skirt first to the front and then to the back. and then they sew the sides together at the end. I like to go ahead and sew them first. So I'm gonna do, that's gonna be a little bit different on my tutorial than it is on the tutorial on the paper. So that's why I'm gonna go ahead and do this here now, my sleeve, and I'm gonna show you too how I'm gonna sew up my bodice already as well. And then that way it's kind of all getting done at the same time. And I think it's gonna be just fine. I like to just do it that way better. But if you rather do it the other way where you go ahead and sew the bodice at the shoulders and then attach, close the front, attach the skirt to the front, attach the skirt to the back, and then sew the sides, you can do that. But I'm just gonna go ahead and sew my sides now. So it's still right sides together. I'm also going to sew my sides. I hope that all makes sense. I'm gonna show you again what we're doing. Okay, we got our front bodice and we're matching right sides together, front and back. And we're matching those shoulders and side seams and sewing up. We're gonna sew first with a straight stitch on my sewing machine and then finish the raw edge. I'm grabbing my sleeve and I am sewing it right sides together at that inseam here. And then once I'm done doing that, I'm gonna go over to my sewing machine and put in a gathering stitch at the top of the shoulder, which will just be a long straight stitch, like a basting stitch, where I can gather the shoulder to fit my bodice. I'm gonna do that for both sleeves. I grabbed my facing and I put the facing on it. I'm sorry. I keep saying facing, the interfacing on it, and then I matched up the shoulder seams. I'm gonna sew the shoulder seams, and then I'm gonna sew out around the outer edge all the way around to finish that up, because that's not gonna get attached. The inside is gonna get attached, but the outer edge is not gonna get attached. So I wanna go ahead and finish that off on my serger so that it's nice and not fraying. And then for my skirt, I matched up my two sides, right sides together. If you wanted to add pockets, this is where you would do it, but I'm not adding pockets to this one. Maybe I will add one pocket. Let me show you real quick how easy it would be to add a pocket. All right, now if you wanted to do a pocket, so I've got just some random fabric here, a little bit left over. I just basically was gonna put my hand shape here because I want my hand to fit. So we're just kind of gonna go around like a teardrop shape here for my pocket. I want my pocket to be big enough to fit my phone. So you wanna put your phone in there, make sure it fits. And so what we're doing is, it kind of goes like teardrop down. Make sure this is cut up. And if you want two pockets, you will have to create two of these. Now this pocket seems like it's, I think I made it too small. It barely fits my phone. I don't know. I think it'll be fine. A lot of times I like to make it bigger so that it fits more things, but once I eat the seam allowance, it's just barely gonna be big enough to fit my phone. Oh well, you get the idea. It's just like a teardrop down. Let me see if I have any more fabric. Maybe I'll make it a little bit bigger. I don't have any more fabric. I had just scraps. Anyway, let me go ahead and attach it and we'll show you how to do that. All right, I got my pocket piece, and honestly, it's tiny, but it'll work. It'll be fine. All right, you got to figure out how low you want that pocket. So this is the side of my skirt, one side, whichever side you want your pocket on. And I like to do like about 2 inches down. So we're gonna place it about 2 inches down from the top, and we're gonna sew each pocket on first. So we'll sew that first and then we'll sew them together. That is the trash. And it's got very squeaky breaks. Okay, so then we're gonna put another one right sides up on the other side, but make sure that they're going to be matching. So they have to be just the equal parts down from the top. So this has to match up. So we will attach this here and this here. And then when we go to sew the skirt together, we're gonna open it up and sew around the pocket. So we'll go down, around, up, and over through the pocket. And that's how you make a pocket. It's super simple, I know. So if you have a dress that you're like, oh, I wanna add pockets to, you really just open up the side seam, make your own pocket piece, and create your pocket. Really simple. So that's what I'm gonna do here. the pocket, and then I'll stitch a gathering stitch at the top of the skirt to gather it to fit my bodice. Let's go do all that. Okay, so here I'm going to lengthen my stitch and just put in a basting stitch here at the shoulder cap. And that I will gather when I'm gonna attach it to fit my bodice. I'm gonna do the same for both sleeves. Alright, so with the pockets, the first thing we're gonna do is sew up those pockets right sides here on each side. So one pocket on each side. There was one side. I'm gonna do the other side. Okay, now we can open that seam allowance and push it towards the pocket and stitch it towards the pocket if you want to. And what we're going to do is we're gonna grab our one side of our pocket and the other side of our pocket, and we're gonna fold this, we're gonna place them right sides together here. So then we're gonna sew around, starting at the top, down to where the pocket started. Remember, these are matching. Stop there and pivot and go all the way around the pocket, around the pocket bags, attaching them together. Then we come right back up here to the top where we started. And then lift up and turn, and now the pocket is attached, and we're going to keep going all the way down. I'm just sewing straight on the other side because I didn't add a second pocket. Then at the top, like I said, I'm going to add a gathering stitch, so it's just a long straight stitch on my sewing machine. I'm going to up my tension to like a 6 or 7, and then I'm going to go all the way around. When I get to the end, I'm going to pull and leave a long piece so I can gather with. I didn't think about it, but I should have gone ahead and finished the raw edges of my skirt sides first before I put in that basting stitch at the top, because it's going to tight it. So I may have to go back and do another basting stitch after I do this. I also have to go around the pocket, so make sure you do that and you don't cut the pocket open. So be really careful here with the knife. You can see here's my basting stitch, so that's kind of basting it down. So I'm just gonna come off a little bit early and then fix that later. But when you're doing it, go ahead and do the sides, finish the sides first. Alright, we want to open up that pocket and kind of steam it so that it's nice and flat how we want it to be. So when we turn it around, and you can do this first before moving on, but I just went ahead and moved on and then figured I'd come back and do it. Being that this is a linen fabric, it's super easy to work with. So if you can see here now, I've got my pocket here. And it's a very, very small pocket. Barely fits my hand in there. Take into account when you have a big hand to make a big pocket. But anyway, that will fit my phone and a couple little things in there. Doesn't have to fit my whole hand in there. It's fine. If I wanted to, I could go fix it, but I don't have any more fabric, so we're just gonna leave it. I can always later on, if I'm like, oh, I have more fabric, I'm gonna fix it, I would just take off that pocket, just seam rip the pocket, make a bigger pocket and put it in. I don't have to take the whole dress apart, so I'm not worried about it. All right, I'm gonna put that skirt to the side, and we're gonna work on our bodice. We're gonna open up our bodice. We're gonna place our facing right sides together. So match up those shoulders. Go all the way around the neck area. And you should be able to match up your shoulders here at the other side as well. And we're gonna go all the way down the front with the facing. Now see why I finished off the raw edges here on the inside, because that part is not going to get sewn and you don't want it to fray. See how this is already fraying? Once I sew it up, then I'll you know, finish it off as well, so it's not going to fray there. All right, let's go sew that up. You get here to the point, we're going to turn up our machine, or lift up our foot, turn, leave your needle down, lift up your foot, turn, and then go around. Actually, I do not have to finish this raw edge because we're going to understitch here. All right, so instead of us going ahead and top stitching, finishing off this edges, we're going to use pinking shears, and I'm going to trim here my seam allowance, because then we're going to understitch, and I'm going to show you what that is. All right, we're going to flip this around. Once we flip it, we're going to understitch it. So I'm going to steam it. We're going to go in and stitch this seam allowance towards the facing. So we're going to towards the facing. So we're going to top stitch it down. Now you're going to top stitch it as much as you can get here, and then all the way around the neck. You won't be able to top stitch all the way in there, and that's fine. I mean understitch, and that's fine. But you want to make sure that you get it understitched. Most importantly is at the neck area, so that it doesn't fold out on you. So when you're wearing it, it doesn't like try to come up on you. So let's go understitch all that. All right, so I didn't go all the way in the corner, but I can come out here and then keep going to the other side. All right, we're getting down to the end, but I don't know what button's gonna be a good button for it, so I might have to wait on that. So now what we want to do here is we want to overlap this facing here, and we're going to baste it together because that's going to be closed, and we're going to gather our skirt to fit our bodice. So I'm going to pull on those basting stitches. Here's the front. I'm going to make sure that it's going to fit. So we're just going to gather. All right, once that's gathered enough, we can go ahead and attach it right sides together. You can hear my son in the background playing piano. Match up those side seams. After we sew this on, all we have left to do is attach the sleeves and obviously hem and add the buttons. But if you want to go ahead, because I'm doing clips, I may go ahead and attach my sleeve now. But if you want to go ahead and sew this on first and then attach your sleeve, or attach your sleeve first and then sew the skirt on, it's up to you. Like I said, on the instructions, they attach the front of the skirt first to the front of the bodice, the back of the skirt to the back of the bodice, and then they sew it on the sides after they attach the sleeves. But I did it a little bit differently. So I've got that there. So we're going to grab our sleeve, and I'm going to turn it right side out because I'm going to fit it into my arm side here. So the right side of the sleeve is going to touch the right side of the arm side, and we're going to match up here at the armpit first. And then I'm going to match up the top where I have my mark here at the shoulder. And I'm going to do this for both sleeves. Once I've done this, I'm going to start here at the bottom and kind of attach it until I get to the basting area here. And I'm just going to pull on this basting stitch a little bit so that my sleeve can fit. So you just have a little bit of gathers here at the top, not a whole lot. Okay, and do the same on the other side, and again do the same on the other sleeve. While I'm here finishing it up, I'm going to also finish up the raw edges of my sleeve and my hem. That way it'd be easier for me to hem. All right, it's time for buttons, and I cannot find two things. I cannot find the buttons I really want, so we're just gonna go with these ones. Another thing is I did kind of pull on my fabric, not very straight here, and it's got this little kind of going down and then closing over, but I don't think it's gonna matter because I'm gonna button this one up, and once you open it, it'll be fine. Another thing is I am not going to do real buttonholes because my sewing machine, my one that I'm using right now, which is not my main one, it's my backup one. It's not awesome with buttonholes, and I just don't want to ruin it with buttonholes. And if I leave this one unbuttoned, then it will fit over my head, so it'll be fine. So these ones will be attached to both layers. This one will be only attached to the front layer so you can open. And then anyway, it'd just be easier. So I also, another thing is, I don't know where my button gauge is. So I'm going to have to measure the old fashioned way, trying to figure out where I want my button. So it's about 12 inches for me. So we'll go 6 here is the middle, but we don't have a middle button. So we'll go from here like 2 inches and then 2 inches. We're up to 2.5 and then like 1.5. I don't know. I just want them to be like spaced out. So these are like 2.5 inches between each one. Yeah. So that's what I'm going to do. And then I'm just going to mark where they're going to go. So that way I'll end up removing them. They'll still be there. And now I'm going to go ahead and attach the buttons. After I attach the buttons, I'm going to fold this sleeve because we're going to do an encased elastic on the sleeve. If you wanted to just hem it, you could just go ahead and hem it. But I'm going to do like an inch hem so I can go ahead and put in the elastic. I'm going to leave a gap, like a 2-inch gap, where I'm going to fit in the elastic and then close the gap up. And at the bottom, I'm just going to do a very, very small hem. And the reason being, I didn't add as much length as I wanted to because I didn't have enough fabric. So I don't want it to be any shorter than it has to be. So I'm just gonna hem it like a 1/2 inch, and that's it. If I could hem it even less, I may just hem it, whatever. So let's finish up the buttons and all these hems. Put in the elastic here at the sleeve, and we'll be done. I think this is gonna be super cute, especially for just a tester version. Like this was my tester version. I was just kind of testing it out to see if I was going to like it. And then I'm going to make a better version. I think on my next version, I will, first of all, lengthen the skirt. Second of all, here at the front, I think I may not understitch, but top stitch. So it's like stitched on the top, and obviously be more careful with my fabric here. But other than that, I really did like this pattern. So easygoing, straightforward, and so far so good. I tried it on earlier, and it looks so cute. I'm super excited about it. And hopefully by then, when I do my real version, I have my regular machine back, and I can go ahead and actually make real buttons. All right, we're gonna go hem and we'll be done. Remember to leave a gap to bring that elastic in. The last thing I'm gonna do here is here at the shoulders, I'm gonna tack down that facing by putting a stitch right along the ditch, so right along that seam of the shoulder. Oh, I wonder if you noticed this and you thought, what are you doing? This button doesn't go on this side. This is where the buttonhole would go. I was like, this looks weird. This is not right. No, it's not right. Taking this button off and putting it on the other side where it's supposed to be. It's like, that just doesn't make sense. No, it doesn't make sense because this is the buttonhole side. So the button would go here. There we go. right, now we're gonna fit our elastic through here. So I don't have 1/4 inch elastic, 3/4 inch elastic. So this is a full inch elastic, and I think I made my opening 1 inch. So it's gonna be a tough thing. So I think I made it a little bit bigger than 1 inch. So just have to keep that in mind. Whatever elastic you're using, make it like almost a 1/4 inch wider, so that way it'll fit through and you don't have to struggle like I am going to struggle. I can tell it's going to be a little snug all the way around. All right, and once you've fit it all the way through, you're going to go ahead and make sure that they're not crooked, sew it together, and then close that gap. All right, let's go finish up.
All right, friends, we are done with this beautiful, beautiful dress. I love how it turned out. The sleeves are so cute. It would still be really cute without the elastic. The faux placket would still be really cute if they had a regular placket. And I didn't even have to do buttonholes, and it fits just fine. I have not tried it on backwards yet. That is the next step. I love the flowiness of it. I think it's super cute. I really do love it. The pocket, I made it a little too small, so my hand can fit, my phone can fit, and I can just grab it, but it's a little tight going in and out with my hand. My phone fits fine, but my hand, I have big hands, so not so much. The length turned out perfect. This is the perfect length I wanted. I added 2 inches, and I am 5'7", so that gives you a little bit of an idea of how long it's gonna be. I made a size medium. This is the Candice Dress by Tiana's Closet. I'll add a link to it below. It's a free pattern, so go grab it. And I used this beautiful linen from Boho Fabrics, so if you have not checked them out, make sure you do so. I love them. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Please comment, like, share, subscribe if you haven't, and I'll see you all next time.